We are the two witnesses watching the end of the world as it happens. What have you got for us?
So, as you know, the assisted dying, I call it enforced murder bill, is coming to Parliament again for its third reading on Friday, which means if it passes, then the bill goes through. And I wanted to understand why suddenly this bill is coming through Parliament. And I know that it's because Keir Starmer promised Esther Ranson that he would make sure that this got debated properly. There was, I don't know if you saw, there was a massive front page, I think it was the Daily Express, where Esther Ranson's daughter is saying it would be the best 85th birthday present for her if this bill got passed. It's almost 3 years, I think, since Esther Ranson supposedly was dying in her last 6 months of stage 4 lung cancer, 3 years on. So, in my mind, if anyone's going to not be an advocate for the bill, because the people who can go to the doctor and say that they're considering it have to have only 6 months to live. And obviously, in Esther Ranson's case, she didn't only have 6 months to live when she wanted to bring this bill. She's already gone on for another 2.5. And a few months ago, she made it quite public that she was undergoing a new treatment and she'd been given longer. So I just wanted to try to investigate if there was a link between Esther Ranson and Starmer that wasn't just the fact that she used to be the presenter of That's Life and founded Childline. And obviously, there've been articles in the past, and she's appeared on television claiming that she never pursued the rumours that Jimmy Savile was a predator or a sex offender because she never had any proof. And Starmer himself basically said there was never enough evidence to charge him when he was Director of Public Prosecutions. So I just find it quite odd that one request and one promise has led to a stage where, in the same week that we now are able to murder babies on the day they're born, we're also now bringing this within days of basically anyone that's deemed actually a burden, or maybe they've only got 6 months to live, maybe they've got 10 years to live, but that it will be very, very easy just to end their life.
This article with the daughter, it was more than that. It wasn't that it would be a very nice birthday present. It was that if Starmer didn't do this, he'd better be ready because her mother would have some reckoning for him. What reckoning would that be, do you think?
Well, this
What
is
enormous power does Esther Ranson hold that she's going to wield against the Prime Minister of the UK if he doesn't do as she says?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because knowledge is power. And what does she know? What does she know? So that the only link I've found so far is Jimmy Savile.
There's more than one link. She was shocked to find that a man she'd been dating in the 1960s, that she'd met on one of her TV shows at the time, Sir Nicholas Fairbairn, was actually a paedophile who visited quite often one of the children's homes, also frequented by Jimmy Savile, and that was part of a very large VIP paedophile ring in the 60s. It was called the Elm Guest House,
Oh,
which
yes.
held parties in the 1960s where vulnerable boys were sexually assaulted after being plied with alcohol. Bearing in mind that we've just had an abortion bill brought on behalf of a BDSM throuple, we now have a dying bill brought on behalf of a woman who, in the 60s, dated Nicholas Fairbairn, who was already married and was doing all this other stuff on the side. So, two wonderful bills brought by two wonderful people. Um, Very interesting.
My only conclusion is that, as with many things that have come to light recently, paedophilia is at the heart of most of what's going on. And it just seems every single day there's another one and another one. I mean, there's a list as long as your arm of Labour MPs and affiliates who've been charged with paedophilia. And coupled with that, the Attorney General and other judges who obviously are acquaintances or friends of Starmer, day after day are letting paedophiles go free. And so I wonder what Esther Ranson and Starmer know about each other. Don't know, but there must be a reason why she's holding him to this.
Yeah, so when you started mooting this idea that there was something perhaps more behind Starmer's bringing forth this bill, with no choice, apparently, because Esther says so. I sort of looked into the background of Esther because she was with Childline. She founded Childline in 1986, I think it was, and worked with it all that time, not just as the face of Childline. She was not just the face of Childline, she was a counsellor. She volunteered as a counsellor on the lines. But when asked about Jimmy Savile on Desert Island Discs, she said, as you say, she'd heard all sorts of things about Jimmy Savile, but it was just rumours, so what could she do? Now, at that time, she's also working as a counsellor on Childline. Are you telling me she had no safeguarding training? That she didn't know what to look for if children had been molested or abused in any way? Wouldn't she have had full training? Was she allowed onto Childline as a volunteer without any knowledge whatsoever about what she was dealing with? I don't think so.
I don't think anyone else would be allowed to do that.
I
So
don't
why
think she
should
was. She
she?
was fully trained, so she knew exactly what is involved in paedophilia and what sort of things to look for. She said that while she was at the BBC, she'd heard all these rumours, but not only that, a junior came to her and told her rumours. Now, as someone who's been trained in safeguarding, wouldn't she know that when people come to you and tell you things like that, they might be talking about themselves? Because it's very difficult for them to talk about it. So they might make it a friend said or such a body said.
Yeah.
But she hadn't been trained to recognize any of that or even be the slightest bit suspicious. A junior came to her, and because it was a junior, she poo-pooed it and said it couldn't be true. And she certainly wasn't going to act on a rumor from a junior. Years later, she said that we must make it possible for junior staff to blow the whistle and tell people so that we can do something. That's kind of in
Hmm.
direct opposition to her own beliefs. She believes that rumours shouldn't be followed up, especially when they come from junior staff.
We've got a clip of it where she's asked about this person coming to her and expressing concerns. It may well be the same person. And Esther just can't remember it. And the interviewer says, "Well, there's a photograph of you here together." Oh, well, that might have been in a green room or something. I don't remember. And anyway, if she'd said that to me, I would have told her to go to the police.
Told her to go to the police, the head of Childline, who works as a counsellor on the line. So anyone who's had any safeguarding training would know there's no way these children are going to the police.
No, no.
And then we saw what happened in Rotherham when children went to the police. They were jailed as prostitutes.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure she would love them to go to the police.
And I would say the extraordinary thing is, yes, there's a lot of evidence for child prostitution in Britain in Victorian times, but the thing that most shocks me, in a way, is how much evidence there is of it in our time. Recently in Rotherham and in Manchester.
Has stepped down from Childline now, obviously because of her stage 4 cancer, which, as you said, was going to kill her within 6 months. Uh,
3 years ago.
still is, yeah.
She's pretending that she wants to bring this bill because she doesn't want others to suffer like she does. She's a millionaire. She could have gone to Dignitas, 2.5 years ago. Why didn't she?
That is a very good point. I mean, if she was going to die within 6 months, wouldn't she just go to Dignitas? You're absolutely right. Why would she, with her last dying breath, after she can no longer volunteer at Childline or even be the face of Childline because she's so ill, why would she then start this massive campaign to kill people?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that this is the bit that I'm struggling with because yeah, I get that she's got Starmer over a barrel potentially because of what she knows about him, potentially, obviously all rumor and supposition. But why would that then lead to death? My only conclusion, and also I've looked at who is one of the or was running Childline or the chairman. It was from about 6 years ago, but he was like a top Freemason in one of the lodges. And I know that child sacrifice, human sacrifice is something that these lodges actually do once you get to the 33rd degree.
What people always say is it can't be a conspiracy because you can't make that many people keep quiet. Well, actually, if they're all in a paedophile ring and you've got the photos, you can.
Exactly.
Mm.
This is how Epstein was able to wield so much power. They're all like looking after each other, and that's as you say, it could be millions of people, but they're all bound by the same secrets. And if those secrets come out, then the world's upside down, isn't it? I mean,
So despicable, so evil, and so big. that it's unbelievable. The truth is so big and unbelievable that nobody believes it. It's just too much. It's too
Yeah,
complete.
yeah. I mean, not only is it so big and unbelievable, it's so harrowing. To really understand the depths of the depravity and the evil. It's too much for a lot of people to.
We have that here right now with the grooming gangs. No one can listen to the testimonies of the girls because they're so
No,
horrific. And
yeah,
even when you're reading it, it's so horrific you can't believe it. So it becomes unbelievable. So it can't be true. Your
yeah,
brain just does a flip. It can't be true, but it is.
yeah.
And then we see about these 33rd level Masons and what they get up to, and Satanists and Baal worshippers and Molech worshippers. And it's so big and so unbelievable. It can't be true. We can't accept it. We need to learn about it slowly because it's just too much.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
Esther, obviously, once you brought this up, I had a good look into what she's been saying about certain things. And when she was on a BBC Four podcast, I think it was, she actually said thank you to the police who were looking into paedophilia, but said, remember that not everything is true and victims are liars too. And that was what she said as as a counsellor on Childline.
yeah. Something else that I found about her as well. I didn't realize that during COVID she was very, very vehemently anti-vaxxers, basically
Yeah.
saying. I mean, there's a clip with Dan Wootton where he's saying, "So what you're saying is, you mean you want them to have a heart attack and stay at home and die at home alone?"
So you would leave the unjabbed at home to die if they had a heart attack, if they suffered from a stroke?
That's their choice.
I wonder if she was actually a useful idiot for the globalists and the people rolling out this COVID because she was such a famous person.
So it's going to be interesting. We've had the abortion bill brought by a BDSM throuple case, and now we've got the assisted dying brought by someone who isn't actually dying but wants everyone else to.
Yeah, Kim Ledbetter. I mean, she basically has rushed this bill through, and she disregards any concerns from this psychologists, from disabled charities. All the safeguards are gone. Basically, they're not ruling out being able to do it for anorexia, things like that. It's like fast tracking where Canada is now, but we'll have it from day one.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting what the changes are going to be. So you've got to be over 18. It was originally a judge had to sign it off, but now it's just two doctors or a panel of three or
A
something.
High Court judge it was going to be.
Yeah, which I mean, I just do not understand why judges are involved in
No,
medical cases. I mean, we had that Asian girl, the Indian girl, who was in ICU but wanted to live. And there was a
yeah,
treatment that might have worked in America. Okay, 90% chance it didn't. But there was a chance that it might have.
yeah,
And she wasn't allowed to
no,
take that chance because a judge ruled that she wasn't thinking straight. I mean, it's obviously been overturned since, but she's dead now.
yeah,
It's unforgivable. Judges have no place ruling on medical matters and
no,
moral matters. They have the law, and the just as in Judaism, there's the moral law and there's the ritual law, and this is moral law, and
yeah.
judges have no idea about it, so they really shouldn't be involved. So I'm glad there's no High Court judge involved. But then, can we trust doctors? I mean, with what
Well,
we see about maternity wards and.
oh,
Can we
I
trust
know.
doctors to
No, we
that
can't.
extent?
How can we trust doctors when they're still
Trust
pushing
anybody.
those COVID jabs? I mean, they've come out now in America in the last 24 hours, I think, and basically said mRNA is not safe for humans, you know, black
Mm.
and white. And yet there's still every surgery, not that I ever go to one, has got, have you had your flu jab, your COVID jab, your shingles jab? There's a jab for the new like 14 in one cancer jab. They're just desperate to jab everyone to death, aren't they? So
They
I'm
are.
not going to a doctor again
Oh, but
ever.
I've got quite a bit to talk about on that, so we'll do that one for a different day. But is there anything else we need to say about this death bill? I
I've
just,
just got a horrible feeling it'll pass just as easily as the child murder bill because we're being run by satanic demons.
yeah, I
So
mean,
many people online are
definitely
saying that.
it's a spiritual battle, isn't it? I mean, the number of people that I'm seeing posting really upset about the abortion law passing. I'm not. Has anybody checked if it's actually a majority view, this view that they have that
It's 1%, 1% of people.
as their actual figures? I know when Jeremy Corbyn wanted to introduce it in 2019, 70% of women didn't want any change to abortion law, and only 1%, this was in 2019, only 1% wanted this up to birth abortion. So it's a tiny minority. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're making it very, very clear now that they are not representing the will of the people and they're not hiding it. You know, whatever they want to do, they're going to do. And we, the people, you know, just got to shut up and accept it. Or what do we do? We know that voting doesn't work because look what we've got.
democracy is an
And
illusion. And
yeah,
the MPs representing the people is also an illusion. The MPs are
mm,
representing the elites, really, or whoever is in charge. And
yeah.
everything's been done towards that agenda. None of it is about human flourishing, which is what Christendom used to be the place for. So we're entering into very dark, satanic times, and it is a spiritual battle. And we all need
Yeah.
to gird ourselves with the strength and fight against it in whatever ways we can.
And we need to come together more. We need more of a, you know, a collaboration. People, I mean, it's all right, you know, being a keyboard warrior, but what can we actually do?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's going to be a very sad week in politics. And I
Yeah,
still can't get over the the BDSM throuple introduces killing babies, and someone who thinks that child victims are liars is going to introduce death, death by state.
yeah,
I mean, when you've got to see, some countries don't have an NHS. So Switzerland, fantastic country, fabulous services. I would imagine your palliative care there is fabulous. But they have assisted dying. But here we have the NHS that can't afford to treat anything. What is the
so
price
it's
going to be like? And I noticed that in the bill, it does say that medical staff aren't allowed to broach the subject of euthanasia to under 18s. Well, under 18s aren't allowed to take it anyway. So why would they be broaching the subject? Are we going to be learning about it in school? Is it going to be alongside the genderbread figure
probably from age 4 or
and
something.
the how to do anal at primary school? Is it going to be right up there with that? Books about how
Probably,
Grandad died rather than what's in his attic?
yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
But another thing, they haven't determined what chemical concoction they're going to use. I read yesterday, it took someone 110 hours in agony to die with this concoction that they were given supposedly to end their life. It's evil. They won't consider it for murderers with, you know, where they know for sure they're the murderer. They wouldn't, oh no, we can't have the death penalty. Only for innocent people, apparently, there.
Yes, that's something else we need to look into. How are they going to do it? It's very interesting. Is it going to be more agonizing than the death you would have had anyway? And
Yeah, probably.
if so, why bother? But I
Yeah.
think the irony is Esther Ranson is still alive, and she's the one who wants to bring the bill.
And
So
no
she was
one's
given
saying
six
it.
months, 3 years later. Um,
Yeah, no
there's
one's
the proof.
saying it.
There's the proof why it shouldn't go ahead. The person who's bringing
Exactly.
the bill is the proof why it shouldn't go ahead.
Exactly. And yet no one is bringing that up.
No.
I did have a slightly lighter thing regarding Esther, but you remember on that slide when they had the dog that said sausages? Sausages. So, and I thought that's the link. Starmer.
That shows Keith
Release the
Starmer was a really
sausages.
close friend. He was thinking of Jews, he thought of Esther, and he thought of sausages.
Exactly.
Immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the hostages.
Bring the sausages back. Bring Esther back to me.
Yeah. Well, she won't ever have to come back to life because she's never going to die, apparently.
Not unless she gets some assistance. Anyway, we'll stop there.